Well, hello, it's Jamila, and I am a life and relationship strategist. I teach high achieving women how to stop attracting men who are liars, cheaters, and abusers without years of therapy so you can stop wasting time, overcome your fear of marriage, and have the happy, healthy relationship you've always dreamed of. Hey, so in addition to that, I also work with married women as well who maybe found the great guy and are just wanting to do the healing that they should have done before they got married. Now, today, what I'm talking about is, are you disconnected emotionally? This is something that many high achieving, very successful, professionally, strong willed women do without even thinking about. And by that, what I mean is, in order to be really driven and like have that real strong go getter attitude, hey, what you had to learn how to do was how to go and do and be and achieve and overcome and push and keep going no matter what obstacle, was thrown at you. And so, in order to do that, you didn't have time for, let's say, a pity party, or to stop and feel sorry for yourself, or to stop and have a cry, or maybe you shed a tear, but then that was it. You didn't continue to linger there or whatever. And throughout your lifetime, without even thinking about it, you've just developed this almost negative relationship with your own emotions, with your own feelings, as if somehow that is a weakness. So let's talk a little bit about how that starts. So most, if not all, of my clients are women who struggle with this because of having that high achieving driven nature. They're detached from their emotions. They know that they need to do some healing, know that they need to do some work. They can actually intellectualize it all day long, can tell you all the things that are wrong, can see the patterns and the connections, but the actual connecting to the emotion of whatever that origin point was, that origin story, or the trauma connecting to that is where there's the problem. And that's where I come in. So, what happens when we're little girls and we're constantly shunned or criticized or punished for expressing our emotions? For example, I have a client, she actually got spanked or hit every time she cried. And so she came to actually believe that showing emotions were bad, that emotions were bad, because this is how we internalize things as children. We make them very black and white, really simplify it down. And the problem is that this doesn't change just because we get older. This belief that somehow emotions are bad, that expressing them gets us a negative result, that becomes our underlying belief system. And we take it with us throughout our adult lives as we continue to try to function in relationships. Well, here's the thing. Relationships are all about emotions. They're all about feelings. They're all about communication. So if we're not in touch with our own feelings and emotions, if we have a negative relationship with our own emotions, then how can we expect to really connect on a deep, intimate level with another person and have that understanding and connection that we deeply desire, but we really don't know how to create? Because the first step is we have to create that connection within ourselves. So if we're not even in touch with our own feelings, if we're constantly judging or putting down what we feel, then we're going to have a really hard time being able to get close to and connect with anyone else on that level, especially, in romantic relationships with men. I mean, that whole thing's going to just be one big pile of muddy waters that you're just trying to navigate and you don't know what's going on. And so the issue is, on the one hand, being able to disconnect emotionally. And mind you, this isn't something that you're doing consciously, right? It's just what you do. When it hits the fan, you go into action. You go, you do, you be, and you keep going. You are relentless. You are unstoppable. It's almost like the harder the challenge, the greater your push through, right? The problem with that is you will eventually, of course, tire yourself out, burn out. And then when you get to the goal or whatever it is you were striving for, you may realize it's not even what you thought it was going to be, or it may not even be what you wanted. Okay. But because you've been so disconnected for so long, because you've been ignoring your own gut instincts and your own red flags and your own cues that maybe what you were doing was not a good thing, maybe it was not what you should be pursuing. For example, you may be judging your feelings with sayings like, well, I ought to be grateful, or, well, I shouldn't complain, or, well, so and so has it so much worse than you. Why are you complaining? So here's the thing. All of that is actually negative messaging that you got as a child. You didn't just pick that up on the street as an adult as a way to start talking to yourself. Those are the things that the adults and caregivers in your life said to you when you were a kid. You internalize that to mean that, oh my goodness, if I ask for more, I'm a bad person. I'm greedy. I'm not allowed to have more. Oh my goodness, if I don't like this, then I'm a bad person or whatever. Just some negative connotation, always judgment towards our feelings and our emotions. Listen, our feelings just are what they are. They're just messages, just indications of how we're responding to a certain situation or interaction or whatever. And so we're really just looking at them for cues as to what's going on within us so we can get curious and find out what's going on. Feelings and emotions, just because we have them doesn't mean that we're going to act on them, right? We certainly wouldn't want to feed emotions or feelings that are not good or not healthy or not moral or all these other things. No, we wouldn't want to dwell on those things or feed those. But just sometimes our normal daily feelings and emotions about different things, we waste so much energy trying to convince ourselves as to why we shouldn't feel this way or why we're wrong for thinking that or whatever, when really all we need to do is just acknowledge that we have the feeling and allow it to go on its way. It's really just acknowledging and releasing and allowing it to move on. We don't have to dwell on it. We don't have to stay in it. But when we have a normal, natural reaction to a situation, for example, we're living in a pandemic. Times are very stressful. We're not going to feel happy and all this fake positivity that people sometimes feel like they're shoving it down your throat, like you're not allowed to have a sad moment. I've lost more people in death in the last year than I have in my entire life. And they didn't all die from COVID. There's something to be said to this isolation and all this other thing having an effect on people. And it's okay to express those feelings. It's okay to say, hey, not okay today, or to talk about what you're going through or what you're dealing with, et cetera, et cetera. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But when we start to judge and condemn ourselves, well, I just, tomorrow's a sunshiny day, or hey, at least I'm still alive. What are you talking about? What does that have to do with anything? If someone dies, you can be sad. Life is changed and it's kind of upside down right now. You can be sad about that. Doesn't mean you have to dwell on it, become a negative person, have a woe is me attitude. Simply acknowledging a sad or negative emotion doesn't mean that you are sitting in wallowing in self-pity, really, that you have a woe is me attitude or any of that, because that's not even your way. You're a high achieving, driven woman who's always going and doing and all of those things. So no, that's not even who you are. So if you have a natural, normal reaction to something, instead of wasting your time judging yourself for it, just acknowledge that you have that feeling and allow it to process and move on. That's it. It doesn't have to turn into anything more. So that's just kind of one piece or part of it, right? The other way that this can sometimes show up is when we're not connected to ourselves emotionally. Not only will we go and do and be in our profession, but we'll also go and do and be in relationships. Sometimes in friendships, we'll go above and beyond. Nothing wrong with that, except for when we're the one that everyone else is always leaning on, and we kind of look around and feel like we don't have anyone that we can lean on. And even if we did, we don't feel comfortable fully unloading because we're so afraid that we're going to be looked at a certain way, or they're going to think we're weak, or we're going to look vulnerable, whatever. Again, with the judgment, right? Rather than just, hey, I'm human. I can't do it all. I'm not a superhero. I'm actually just a woman. you know, like, oh, what a concept. I might need to have a good cry or whatever. Or, oh my goodness, I might be experiencing some stress. All those things are normal and natural. But again, when we're disconnected from our emotions, when we've developed a condemnatory, judgmental attitude towards our own feelings, we don't allow ourselves to just be and to, move through our emotions and our feelings in a normal, healthy way. Now, if this is your challenge, as I touched on, and you have this strong desire to have a wonderful, happy, healthy relationship with a man, to get married, or if you're already married, you're going to really have some challenges. Because when you're disconnected from yourself emotionally, when you don't acknowledge how you really feel, if you're not brutally honest with yourself, then who are you? Do you even know? And if you don't know who you are, how can you connect to anyone else? And how can they ever really get to know you and be there for you and support you if you got all this cloudiness about it? Do you understand what I'm saying? Hey, girl. So you want to make sure that you get connected again emotionally, because again, if you're not, it's not going to work when it comes to having a relationship with a man. It's not going to work. You're going to show up in arguments and be fussing and fighting about stuff that has nothing to do with anything, because you either don't know how to really say what's really going on, or you're not even fully aware of what the real issue is. You're just so disconnected from the emotional part of yourself. But let me tell you, men are not mind readers. And a lot of times as women, we spend time telling them what we don't want, when what they really need to know is just what we want, what we desire. In fact, that's what we really should always be focused on, is what we want, what we desire, because what we focus on is what we create. But again, when we're disconnected from ourselves emotionally, when we're not even in touch with how we really feel about things, then we don't really know what we want. And all the other stuff that comes with it. Well, do I deserve it? Or am I asking for too much? Or am I ungrateful? And all this other stuff. It's just this total muddied waters, right, when it comes to your emotions. Well, I want to tell you that I'm not just making this video to like ruffle your feathers and just, bring to your attention all this that's going on. But if you get it, and you know what I'm talking about, and you know that I'm telling you the truth. But I also am here to offer you a solution. I'm actually doing a free workshop called Emotional Mastery, Feeling Again Without Fear. Because that's the whole underlying crux of it, isn't it? You're afraid to feel, afraid to be vulnerable, afraid to be viewed as weak, because my goodness, if you actually opened up and shared how you felt, somebody might hurt you. Gasp. And let me tell you, that's not just based on speculation. You have been hurt. I can guarantee it. You have been hurt. So you not only come out of childhood with all this negative messaging around emotions, but then that sets you up to get into relationships that just confirm what it is you already believe to be true, which is that emotions are bad, negative emotions are bad, feelings are bad. They invoke a negative response. So you pour out your heart, you get it stomped on, balled up and thrown in the trash. And you're like, see, there it is. I'm not opening up to anybody ever again. I'm putting up a wall so thick it's going to have 10 layers and all these bricks and everything and a gate. So all of that stuff is going to keep you from ever being successful in a relationship with a man. Okay? You're not going to have a happy marriage. You're not going to have really any close, real personal friendships with women. You're going to always just struggle in every relationship, because you have so much stuff when it comes to emotions. So this free workshop that I'm doing, it's all about helping you to understand why. Why is there this disconnection? What is going on, right? and then really coming to understand how this disconnection has helped you in some ways, but then also how has it hurt you? And then most importantly, what you can do about it, okay? Because you are an amazing, incredible woman. You have overcome such huge obstacles and challenges in order to be where you are in your business and your career, in your life. And so for you to have all of that tenacity and drive and success and to not be experiencing it in your personal life, there needs to be, it's a disconnect. As we've been talking about over and over again, a disconnect. And so let's reconnect that. So all that success and all of that drive and all of that good energy flows right on into your personal life and your professional life. And it's all just working together, bringing you really back into alignment. So you have some congruence between your personal and your professional life, that they both, are easy, fun, and fulfilling, and bring you joy and make you happy. Does that make sense? So if you would love to be a part of this amazing, incredible free workshop, it's going to be on Wednesday, November 10th at 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. It's only 90 minutes. So if you're at work, you can ask. I'm giving you plenty of time to, take a little extended lunch break. If you're on Eastern time, it's going to be at 3 o'clock, obviously. So that's going to be a little later in your day. But it's really going to be an incredible opportunity for you to come and allow yourself to just be and learn and have a breakthrough. And so I really look forward to seeing you there. All of the details can be found by clicking the link in my bio here on Instagram at Coach Jamila LV. Okay. Or if you're watching this video on another platform, just look into the description or into the comments and you'll see the link to register for the free workshop. And I look forward to seeing you there. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment on this video or send me a private or direct message. All right. So I want to thank you so much to those who watched live. And for those of you who are watching the replay, I look forward to seeing you here.